Talk about European football, and there was a mad week in the Women's Champions League. And Jamie might want to turn his headset off right now and walk out the studio because Manchester United suffered a defeat away to Wolfsburg 5-2, and with them losing recently to Manchester City in the league and not having a good run of form, is the pressure on Mark Skinner as Manchester United manager? With them, they are fifth in the Champions League table, so they are still set to qualify for the next round. But
There's a lot
questions,
of hard teams coming up for them,
yeah,
though.
lots. The question is the pressure on Mark Skinner, or and can Manchester United make that next round, Jamie?
Um, uh, I mean, they got Leon, haven't they? They've got Juventus as well coming up, which that won't be easy. To be honest, it's weird how in a very short time, all of a sudden, Man United season's going the other way round. I mean, that defeat to City the other week was not great. It wasn't a great performance at all. Again, it was at the Etihad Stadium, where, of course, big occasion for a derby, a lot of more fans in than normal for these two teams compared to where they play at the Lee Sports Village or the Academy Stadium down the road from the Etihad. But it just felt like United had no grip in the game whatsoever. And there was some weird substitutions made by Skinner. Like Mallard came on in the second half, and I'm thinking, with the season she's had or the year she's had, I would have just started her, especially in a game like that where the problem is with United is they can't seem to beat the actual teams around them when it comes to the Women's Super League. They can get the results out of the other teams. While I say that, they lost to Villa, which never happens. And then obviously ever since then, it's just completely turned the other way for them. So I just fear for Skinner a little bit in terms of I think they're happy with what he's done for United. He's done a great job. The only problem is, it's like when we talked about Southgate and Tuchel. At some point, there's a manager that can only do so much, and there's a level that they keep reaching but not get further than that. Feels like that with Mark Skinner. But I also do feel as though the United team don't have the depth to deal with European football midweek and then Women's Super League on the weekend. It's a club that I don't care when people say, yeah, but it's Man United. Yeah, but the club has not functioned like this before with a women's team. And we all go back to the summer, which I said on this YouTube channel ahead of the United Chelsea game a few weeks back. And I was stressing that Mark Skinner is clearly signalling to the board upstairs, Jim Ratcliffe and all that. I need some signings. I'm not getting the backup. We've had some injuries, and I can't do anything with this team. And he even had a game where he only had four players on the bench available, and they put a fifth one there just to fill up the numbers. But she was injured anyway, so it's a real mess at the moment. Um, I don't know about Skinner losing it. I'd still give Skinner the season, of course. I'm just wondering what will happen in January if he'll get a backing to get some extra numbers in. And let's not forget that Talise Joyce has got an eye problem at the moment, eye socket problem, which not sure how long she'll be out for, but I wouldn't like to send a blind person in to go and goal for now, that's for sure. But she's a tremendous goalkeeper, and the timing of her going is just really difficult.
Yeah, and you had Sophia Middleton Patel in goal. Uh, I think. What do you think of her performances, Joe? Do you think she's done okay since she's come in and deputised for the goalkeeper?
She's done okay. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think back to the City game. I'm not sure I would necessarily blame any of the goals on
The
her. And
hemp
I
one
think
especially.
on yeah, and she did all right against PSG. I think she did against Wolfsburg, pass the ball straight to one of the Wolfsburg players, so that was a trickier game for her. I think she's done fine, but also you're always going to miss someone like Tallis Joyce because she is so good and just gives the defense so much confidence. It's going to change it even if her deputy comes in and does fine. It's still a decline in the sort of quality you've got behind you. Um, as good as Patel's been. Um, I would say about Man United and Skinner is that I don't think you need to hit the big red panic button just yet. As Jamie alluded to, it's the sort of first season where they've had to deal with midweek weekend, and there's a lot of games that have come, one and some tricky games as well. Playing Man City away and then going away to Wolfsburg
Yeah.
is pretty tough. I mean, City are really setting the standard in the WSL at the moment, and Wolfsburg have a lot of pedigree, so that's tricky. Yes, I agree with Jamie that January will be big for United season. I think they need to get some depth in because the players clearly look tired at the moment. In some ways, I think this international break might have come at the right time. Often you sort of say, what they don't need is an international break to go and play international football. But I think maybe they're only friendlies, I think, aren't they, these international games? So maybe a bit of a less intense couple of weeks for them might do them good.
I think they've got West Ham when they come back next month, and it's a home game. So I think that's a good way to get going before they host Lyon 3 days after. And then they're at home again against Tottenham. So that they've picked the right time, as Crosland said, to have that break, but also 3 home matches in a row. I think will help them settle, hopefully, before they then head to Turin before Christmas. So it's a funny one. Like I say, in a very short time, it's just United just look a little bit shaky. They've only lost twice in the league. The Villa one was a surprise, and then straight after they lose to City, which was not a surprise. City have been in great form and probably been the best team in the league so far, but still a long way to go. I just worry about certain players at United that are just not showing their performances right now when they really need it.
Name names.
Leah Golton. I do like Leah Golton. I think she's been tremendous, but in terms of her service for the club, but this season, I'm not too sure. I just wonder if, again, is that another one that's been in the club since the start, and sadly, it's now getting to a point where we need more clinical players.
Well, I think Rolfo's been excellent when she's played as well.
She's been tremendous.
Yeah.
But me and Crosland were saying it back in the summer. I think Crosland broke the news to me that she was joining. I was like, that's a great signing. You can't go wrong, especially the experience she has as well. So it's and Jess Park as well. Let's not forget. The recruitment's actually been all right. It's just we just don't have enough players. And we've let go of some good players as well. People have to remember we let go of Russo. I know that was 2 years ago, but I don't think we replaced her until Mallard this year, I would say.
The thing is, I thought when you lost Grace Clinton, I thought that was a massive, massive worry. But then when I heard that Jess Park was coming the other way, I thought that it was a great business in the end for both clubs because Jess Park wasn't getting in the City lineup despite all their quality, and Grace Clinton wanted to go and push herself the next step. I always thought she was going to end up down in London at Arsenal, but she's ended up going across Manchester to Manchester City. I think it's great business there.
I just don't understand City's treatment with Jess Park. I always thought she was bound to be their starter. When she went on loan to Everton, even then I was thinking, what are you doing? Just give us some game time. But that was Gareth Taylor when he was the manager.
Yeah,
And when no, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, he had his problems with certain players, Chloe Kelly. But I just remember Jess Park coming to United. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I'll take her. That's a great signing. I knew we were going to lose Clinton from it, but I just thought, it's not as bad as the Alexis Sanchez Mkhitaryan swap. I'll say that.
But you talk about Fridolin, Rochefort, and Malvin Mallard there, and how impressed have you been, Joe, with United's forward line this season, despite the fact that they are fragile defensively?
Yeah, they've been good. Scored some good goals. Looked good. I think Rolfo, as mentioned, is a terrific signing. He brings her experience, and also it's noteworthy that she's one of the ones who's really been performing in the Champions League. She has that experience of playing 2 games a week. She knows what's required, so I think that's excellent. I always think Mallard looks great when I watch a really, really strong, quick, good finish. Park, as Jamie knows, I've messaged Jamie quite a few times, and Park should be the first name on the team sheet. I think she's terrific. Great feet, uses the ball really well. So yeah, she's fantastic. I thought I agree with what Jamie said about Malak coming on against Man City. He started with Turland, who I do rate Turland, but I didn't think she got into the game at all against Man City.
No.
I wonder whether maybe she struggles with some of the more physical defenders, because City have got that now with Kanak and Jade Rose. They're both very big physical defenders. I did think Turland struggled to get into the game a little bit there. So maybe that is a slight one on Skinner with the selection, but then that's also affected by the Champions League. So it's difficult to say.
I hate
But
to.
yes.
Yeah, I the one player that as I love this player, and sadly, I hope she's not listening to this. Janssen, she's made some mistakes. In and especially that City goal last week, which it was that cross from the right wing, should have got there. Goalkeeper didn't get there before the ball came, and then obviously they scored the tap in City, and Janssen should have read it well. And then obviously she got the straight red card against Atletico Madrid as well. Uh, there's Again, you can't go wrong with having her for a season like this because of the experience she has, and has won major tournaments with Wolfsburg and the Netherlands. But sadly, I just feel as though Janssen this season's not been at her best.
Yeah,
Uh,
agreed.
so if you look around the rest of the Champions
I love
League,
you, Janssen. I'm just being there for you.
Jamie loves Janssen. But yeah, look around the rest of the Champions League. Juventus 3, Lyon 3. Paris FC defeating Benfica 2-0. Benfica going down to 10 there. Valerenga 2, St. Polten 2. Twente defeated 4-0 at home to Atletico Madrid. Uh, Old Heavily Leverne drawing 1-1 with Roma. I don't know if I've said that right, but you
You
know
did better
what I
than
mean.
me.
Paris Saint-Germain losing 3-1 at home to Bayern Munich. But the two English teams, we'll move on to the other two English uh, games. We'll go on with Arsenal first, defeating Real Madrid by 2-1. And
Huge win.
Alessia Russo at the double and Caroline Weir on the score sheet. A familiar name there for Real Madrid, Joe.
Yeah, it's a great comeback from Arsenal. Two really good headers from Russo and two good crosses, and I think that's the result they needed because they drew 0-0 with Spurs, and I thought looked quite uninspired actually when I watched that game. Didn't really ever look like they were going to score a goal and win that game. So I think there's a little bit of scrutiny on them. They're a bit too inconsistent this season. So that was a result they certainly needed, especially after the Munich game as well. Sorry, I mentioned Tottenham, but yeah, the Munich game in the Champions League was just as damaging.
Yeah, that was a bad result.
Losing that one, they 2-0 up and lost 3-2, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I think they needed that result to get back on track, and it was a very good result. Very good.
I think the one thing I find at the moment with Arsenal is that I don't think they have a proper game plan. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm disappointed with how they're playing this season. You know, they win the Women's Champions League. I love the manager, by the way. I think she's tremendous. But
Yeah.
it's so not. There's no balance there at all. Like their front line is ridiculous, but yet they're not doing it when they need it. I don't know what's going on. Is it that there's too many egos at that front line? I hate to say it, but Chloe Kelly, Alicia Russo, does it work? I'm not sure.
For me, I thought when I was watching them against Spurs, I thought they missed that real creative player in the middle, sort of number
Yeah,
10.
yeah.
That has been Kim Little in the past, but I think she's not
Oh, Kim
quite as
Little,
effective,
yeah, of course.
not quite as effective as she once was. So I think they could do with a real creative number 10 in January if they can find one.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
The interesting thing, you mentioned Chloe Kelly. She's not really been getting loads of games, I should say, loads of starts this season at Arsenal. And then there's been question marks over the investment in the summer. But when you've dropped £1 million on a player in Olivia Smith, surely Arsenal fans can't cry out about investment in their squad and the transfer window, surely.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the same about Liverpool in the Premier League, though, but that's clearly not worked. So it does depend on whether you've addressed all. It does depend on whether you've really addressed all your problems. Spending money doesn't necessarily mean you've bought the right players in the right positions, or you're using them well enough. I think Arsenal do have a good squad and can do better than they perhaps are. Um, so
I mean,
yeah,
look at. Sorry, Joe. I mean, look at their bench as well. I mean,
mm,
Black Stinios, Beth Mead, Caitlin Ford.
yeah,
I don't
Baller,
understand. Like,
baller,
why is it?
baller.
Yeah, exactly. They're great players and they're winners. They are winners. And I just find there's just something not clicking. But I think Crosland's right. When you look at when you look at the midfield as well, I mean, all you've got is Caldenti and then Manham, which I think
Mm.
Manham needs to go.
mm.
There's something about Manham that makes me think that maybe she's outstayed her welcome. Um, I know she scored against Chelsea, which was that the one that got disallowed. I got so confused in that game.
That one got disallowed.
There was
Yeah,
like three
Yeah.
goals that got disallowed in that game. It was crazy. But there's something missing. As when you look at like Real Madrid though, when you got De Brits and you got Angadol as well, when you got Casado in front of them, in all fairness, Real Madrid should be doing much better with the squad that they've got as well. The creativity they have. It was a bizarre match. I couldn't believe it when Arsenal won it, to be honest with you, after what happened at Bayern Munich. But this Women's Champions League is brilliant. I actually think it's been a really good tournament. Barcelona are not exactly cruising it either. So it's looking to be quite a good tournament. And even with United, sorry, I'm going back to United, but when you look at United, their first time doing this, they've got a guaranteed playoff spot. So no matter what, they're in the next phase, sort of. So it's really become a league phase where actually teams like Barcelona don't feel as though they're that separated from everyone else.
You just mentioned about the league phase then. The question that I got asked, because I feel like they changed it with the men's format last year before changing it with the women's this year, new to a league phase, and they've also introduced like a women's version of the Europa League, haven't they, this year as well?
Yeah,
Or the set
Europa
to
Cup.
introduce, yeah, the
Yeah,
Europa
yeah.
Cup. Uh,
Can't say
w-
I've followed that to be honest, but yeah.
I didn't like the change of format for the men's game, from the group stages to the big league format. I found it quite jarring. There was more games that were added that weren't really needed, and I feel like the jeopardy of going out in the group stage isn't really there with this format in the league phase. But it sounds daft, but with the Women's Champions League, I think with them having less teams in the
It
competition
works.
anyway, it works. But I think with the men's, they've added more teams to the competition and made the league Champions League go from 32 to 36. I think it was off the top of my head. And I feel
Yeah,
like with the
yeah, no,
men's
you're right. Yeah,
Champions
yeah, yeah.
League, it's just bloated, and the risk isn't there that there once was for teams to go out the competition, and it feels pretty boring and meaningless, especially when you're not playing each other home and away.
Well, what they've,
But with the women's, I think it works quite well.
well, what UEFA have done though is people forget about the playoffs last year. You had Man City, Real Madrid in a playoff, and Real Madrid beat them at the Etihad. I think, no, they played a two-legger, didn't they? And I think did they beat them on penalties at the end? I can't remember,
I think
but
so, yeah.
I think what UEFA are trying to do is make the fixtures have more meaning or have lineup of fixtures to go, oh wow, Real Madrid are playing City in a playoff, not even in a semi-final. And I think the group stages from the men's side of it was getting a bit dull. I didn't mind it. I thought, fair enough. You got to start off with three other teams, just like the World Cup, I guess, but you got to play them twice. What I like about the league phase, though, is you only play them once. You either play them at home or away the once, and then that's it. And then you got to go on and play another 7 games in that league phase. I get what you're saying, Joe, in terms of there's too many. It seems like there's just too many teams in that league table, and yet that so many can still go through. But people have to remember if you make the playoff, great, but you've still got to then play extra games before you go to the knockouts. So I think for some teams, it's actually we want to avoid that and get into the automatic spots, which is what the top 8 is it,
Yeah.
or something like that. So I don't know. I'm quite a fan of the league phase. I wasn't sure when it started, but I think it's brought a bit more excitement. And also the games are so random. It's just like Bayern Munich Villa one night, and yet Villa beat them. It's like this is great. This is great. This is what we want to see. It makes it a bit more lively. However, I do think there's a lot. There's too much football. So much more football, isn't it? And I do feel for the players because there's a lot of traveling. I mean, I've worked with people at Hawkeye, and they when I was working with one of them the other week, he said to me, like, because of it being Champions League phase, I did feel for him. He said, oh, well, after this Premier League game on Sunday, I think I'll go to Munich on Monday and then be there for 3 days to sort all that out. I just thought it is a bit over the top. There's so much football, it's crazy.
Hmm.
So much football. But the last game we'll have a look at. Incidentally, it's the same tie in the men's game this week. But the last Champions League game for the women's thing that I want to talk about is Chelsea versus Barcelona with a 1-1 draw. It's a tie that evokes many a memory for both sides of the men's and women's football. But in this case, obviously the women's football, and was the Champions League final not that long ago. But game now in the group stage.
Yeah. Chelsea love a 1-1 draw at the moment. So, but I think it's a decent result, that one. I went to the semi-finals last year at Stamford Bridge. I can't remember the final score, but Chelsea lost them like 8-2 on aggregate, didn't they? If I remember rightly,
God.
it was a battering. So I think I think
I
that
didn't know
was a
you
good
went to
result.
that.
I
No,
did,
Did you?
yeah.
Oh, I missed. I think you probably did. I
Yeah,
forgot. Oh, fair play.
yeah. I did Arsenal against Lyon the first leg of that as well.
Yeah,
Which
because
funny, Arsenal actually lost, but then Benton won the second leg.
oh, in the second, yeah, those
Yeah,
those semis are really weird because they put them on a weekend, don't they?
yeah,
It's a different schedule.
yeah. But yeah, Chelsea, they're stuttering a little bit. It's weird to say when they're sort of 35 unbeaten and have just drawn with Barcelona, but they do love a 1-1 draw. It does feel like they don't quite have the same cutting edge
You
they
know,
have had with
yeah, you know who they missed, don't you?
I have a theory, but I'm not sure it's what you're going to say.
Well,
Go on.
sadly, well, Sam Kerr's not
Mm,
where she is at the moment. I think with what happened in her personal life, it's affected her, and
and the
she's not,
injury is,
and the injury.
yeah.
Um, and also Gora Reaton's not. She's getting
Mm,
into her 30s. She's not a regular starter now. I think there's just certain players that they're not actually letting go of to replace.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Myra Ramirez got injured as well. I really rate her.
she's a good player.
I think Macario is a good player. I don't think you want to rely on her as your main striker. She's not the
No,
most naturally sort of clinical goal scorer, I would say.
I'm surprised. And I must admit, I keep saying this, but maybe it's just because of her age. But Alexandra Pop, she's a good player to bring in, even just for a few goals. I'm surprised that link up's not happened at Chelsea. Don't know why. I
Mm.
keep thinking that would be a good signing for them.
I think they could do with a goal scorer at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But while we're talking about the Champions League, how is Berenstein the joint top goal scorer in the Women's Champions League? No offense, got nothing against Berenstein, but I do not see her as
Sounds
a
like you
world
do.
class striker. I won't remember. I mean, I've not watched her since the last World Cup, but I must admit I didn't rate her for that Dutch team.
Shame.
Dreams can come true, I guess. But yeah, again, I wasn't a big fan of Brian Brobby, and he scored for Sunderland the other week.
I think certain competitions just bring the best out of certain players, don't they? And maybe this is one
Yeah,
of those where it brings out the best for. Was it Berenstein? Did you say?
yeah, Berenstein, yeah.
Berenstein, yeah. I always get a bit paranoid when I'm pronouncing names now. Don't want to get cancelled in today's society. Cancel culture's everywhere.
As Peter Kay would say.
But yeah, I think that's to sum up the Champions League. I think that was a interesting round of fixtures there, and I think just to have a quick look, sorry, before we move on at the next round of matches that we'll be facing, if I can get it to load. Here we go. So you got out the English clubs. Arsenal will host Twente. United will host Lyon, as you mentioned, Jamie, and Chelsea have Roma in the next games. The next round of matches will take place on the 9th and 10th of December before the final round of matches taking place all on the 17th of December. So still a lot to play for in this competition, lads.
Yeah,
Very much
definitely.
so. Very much so. It's more difficult to pick out who a winner might be this year, I think. I mean, I'm sure Barcelona will be the favourites, but they're clearly beatable these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They lost to Real Sociedad in the league as well a couple of weeks ago. So only lost of the season, but even so.
I think if you look back at the summer, the fact that Barcelona lost the final to Arsenal and then England beat them in the Euros final, that says to me enough that there's enough of those players for Barcelona and Spain that are not as unbeatable as they used to be. You know,
So,
Putellas is not where she used to be. Bon Matty's one of the, well, one of, I'm not going to say the best, one of the best players in the world, but you know she can't do everything. So I'm going to say it's now. I still think Bon Matty could come to the WSL at some point.
love to see it.
I honestly think Chelsea would look into it, but that's what I reckon. That's just a theory.
Just a theory, but we never
Well,
know.
you got to have a new challenge, haven't you? You've done
Yeah,
everything at Barca.
yeah,
Try
agreed.
something else. You know,
Yeah,
prove
agreed.
it.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. About you proving yourself in different leagues, and I think that's some players come under criticism for being league hoppers, but I think uh, like you look, I think when you look at things, sometimes you have got to just try new things. Maybe I know that sounds super
Yeah.
critical of me, being angry with Trent, but you know it's one of those.
Well, I mean, you missed Trent this season, that's for sure.
Yeah, no.